5 o'clock. Good evening. Here is the world news at 5. First, the top stories. Exploration of Ogun State bitumen deposit to begin soon. Militants attack Ogun town, kill 4 policemen, army officer in Ikorodu axis. Obasanjo asks EFCCs to stop using private lawyers to prosecute corruption cases. Masked gunmen abduct Cross River State Commissioner in Calabar. On the foreign scene, Egypt declared emergency after 44 die in terror attack on Coptic churches, and China offers huge cash reward for tip-offs on foreign spies. I am Femi Osinuga, bringing you the news in detail shortly. The exploration of bitumen deposit in the Ijebu waterside axis of Ogun State is to begin soon as part of moves to diversify the economy from oil revenue. Solid Minerals Minister Dr. Femi made this known at the convocation of the Achievers University, Owo, after he was conferred with an honorary degree in public administration. The minister says the exploration will also begin soon in bitumen deposits in Ondo State and other areas with bitumen deposits in the country. The minister, during a recent stakeholders meeting on solid mineral sector in Abeokuta, had asked state government in the areas with bitumen to find a technical partner to participate in the exploration. Ogun State government says only the Ogun State Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Corps (TRACE) is empowered to manage traffic in the state. Justice Commissioner Dr. Olumide Ayeni in a statement says it has received series of reports on the activities of agencies of local governments and local council development areas for regulating traffic in the state. According to the commissioner, only TRACE is empowered by the state government to enforce traffic laws and regulation in the state. The commissioner asks people appointed by the councils to stop enforcing traffic laws or controlling traffic in the state, warning that anyone except traffic operators caught doing so will be arrested and tried for criminal offense. Militants operating from the creeks in Lagos and Ogun State have killed 4 police officers and an army captain in an encounter at Ishawo near Ikorodu last Sunday. The fighting took place after security forces, including policemen and soldiers responding to distress calls, rescued some of the residents kidnapped from the militants in the area. Lagos State Police Commissioner Fatai Owosheni confirms that 6 persons, including an army officer and 4 policemen, died in the attack. Spokesman of the Zone 2 Police Command in Lagos, Dolapo Badmus, explains that the militants initially attacked Makuomi in Ogun State waterside, disrupting the funeral of the monarch of the town. She however says that fierce resistance by mobile policemen posted to the axis, local hunters and vigilance teams forced the militants to flee the area and headed to Ishawo in Lagos State, where they kidnapped some of the residents and robbed them of their belongings. Security forces deployed to the town, according to her, rescued those kidnapped, leading to a bloody encounter in which the policeman and an army officer died. Solid Minerals Minister Dr. Femi says he will not respond to allegations made by Governor Ayodele Fayose against him. The governor last week had accused the minister, who he defeated in the 2014 Ekiti State gubernatorial poll, of plotting with Supreme Court to overturn his election. But the minister, when approached by newsmen in Ado-Ekiti on Sunday, says he will not allow the governor to drag him in the mud and will instead focus on more important issues. The minister explains that he will leave Fayose to continue to entertain himself and will react at the appropriate time. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has called on the judiciary, particularly judges, to act as positive agents of change in the ongoing fight against corruption. Obasanjo, addressing newsmen at his hilltop mansion in Abeokuta, expressed concern over the rate at which the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission had been losing major corruption cases in courts. He blames the development on EFCC's use of private lawyers, which, according to him, are not truly committed to the ongoing fight against corruption. EFCC or government lawyers, according to him, can prosecute the anti-corruption cases better, while asking the anti-graft agency to do thorough investigations of cases before taking them to courts. Obasanjo also rebukes former Army Chief of Staff during the Abacha military regime, Ishaya Bamayi, for alleging in a new book that he plotted to kill him. He told Bamayi to first confess his sins publicly and name those he killed while heading the army under the Abacha military regime. Independent Corrupt Practices and Related Offences Commission (ICPC) says it receives hundreds of corruption-related petitions daily from whistleblowers. The Commission's chairman, Epo Nta, who made this known at the convocation lecture of the Achievers University, Owo, explains that the whistleblowing system has raised the number of petitions the agency receives from number of the public. According to him, ICPC always counts itself lucky if it received up to 5 or 10 of such petitions monthly before the introduction of whistleblowing system. The ICPC chairman, however, warns against sending frivolous and malicious petitions to the agency in the name of whistleblowing. Gunmen wearing masks have adopted a commissioner in Cross River State in Calabar, the state capital. The Water Resources Commissioner, Gabriel Udu Orji, was abducted by the gunmen while stepping down from his car to eat in a restaurant in the city. An eyewitness, James Ibri, says the gunmen dropped an Audi car they were riding in, ordered the commissioner into a Prado jeep and took him away. Spokesperson of the State Police Command, Irene Ugbo, says the police had mounted checkpoints to track him and the gunmen. You are still listening to the World News at 5 on Rock City 101.9 FM. Up next, we bring you foreign, business and sport news. Do stay with us. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has announced a 3-month state of emergency after attacks on 2 Coptic churches that left at least 44 dead. The measure allows authorities to make arrests without warrants and search people's homes. It needs to be approved by Parliament before it is implemented. So-called Islamic State IS said it was behind the blast in Tanta and Alexandria on Palm Sunday. The group has targeted Copts in Egypt recently and warns of more attacks. Mr. Sisi made a defiant speech at the presidential palace after a meeting of the National Defense Council to discuss the explosions. He warned that the war against the jihadists will be long and painful and said that the state of emergency will come into force after all legal and constitutional steps were taken. Foreign ministers from the group of 7 major industrialized nations meet on Monday for an annual gathering, with Europe and Japan seeking clarity from the United States on an array of issues, especially Syria. The 2-day summit in Tuscany comes as the United States moves a Navy strike group near the Korean Peninsula amid concerns over North Korea's nuclear ambition and as the West's relations with Russia struggle to overcome years of mistrust. The civil war in Syria is likely to dominate talks, with Italy hoping for a final communique that will reinforce United Nations' efforts to end 6 years of conflict. The meeting will give Italy, Germany, France, Britain, Canada and Japan their first chance to grill the new US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson on whether Washington is now committed to overthrowing Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. President Donald Trump had hinted he would be less interventionist than his predecessors and more willing to turn a blind eye to human rights abuses if it was in US interest. The foreign ministers' discussions will prepare the way for a leaders' summit in Sicily at the end of May. The Chinese government is offering hefty cash rewards for information on foreign spies. Residents of the Chinese capital can earn up to $72,000 by submitting tip-offs. Authorities launched an awareness campaign last year, including warnings against being seduced by foreign spies. The new regulation was announced by the security branch of the Beijing municipal government and said that residents can file tip-offs through the hotline launched last year in person or by post. Authorities said that in January, a group of fishermen in Jiangsu province found an unidentified object inscribed with foreign words while trawling for fish and handed it to authorities. The object was later found to be a spying device that was collecting data on China. In business, Presidency says it will demarcate the 6,000 cattle routes across the country before the end of this year. National Coordinator of Grazing Stock Routes in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Bello, who made this known, says Primary cattle routes being used frequently will first be opened and then be developed. After this, state and local government are expected to open the secondary roads. The planned demarcation will prevent people, particularly farmers, from encroaching into stock routes, grazing areas or selling of land gazetted since 1962. Finally, sport news. The management of Enugu Rangers have fired Imama Amakpakabo few hours after they were held to a 2-2 draw at home by Sesco United of Zambia in the first leg playoffs round of the CAF Confederations Cup. According to the club's media officer, Foster Chime, the club management met shortly after the match to review the immediate and remote causes of the club's disastrous campaign in the league and took the decision to help the club from total collapse. Rangers will face Zesco United next Sunday in the return leg of the CAF Confederations Cup playoffs round. That was the world news at 5, and just before we go, the major stories once again. Militants attack Ogun Town, kill 4 policemen, army officer in Ikorodu access. Obasanjo asks EFCC to stop using private lawyers to prosecute corruption cases. Masked gunmen abduct Cross River State Commissioner in Calabar. On the foreign scene, we told you that Egypt declared emergency after 44 die in terror attack on Coptic churches, and China offers huge cash reward for tip-offs on foreign spies. For more stories and to listen to us live, please log on to our website www.rockcityfmradio.com/live. Thank you for listening. I am Femi Osinuga. Good evening.